Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton, weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
News at 5 teasers are brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robian Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Statin is sounding the alarm as Jamaica's birth rate falls to alarming levels.
The institute says the population grew by less than 3% in the last decade.
The population growth rate is slowing down. It means that if we continue on this path, we will ultimately get to a declining population.
St. Catherine Municipal Corporation meeting ends in chaos as JLP councillors demand answers on funding allocations.
ATL building evacuated after delivery of suspicious package containing powdery substance.
Charges dropped against dancehall artist Mavado as he returns to Jamaica after 7-year hiatus.
In news from the rest of the world, officials in Haiti ask the US and Canada for assistance after a court order new investigation into the assassination of President Jovenel Moise.
Judge orders Trump administration to pause shutdown layoffs.
In headline sports, rain continues to wreak havoc at ICC Cricket World Cup.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, the Statistical Institute of Jamaica says the country is heading towards population decline.
The population growth rate is slowing down. It means that if we continue on this path, we will ultimately get to a declining population.
We'll bring you more from Statin's media briefing.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, are you concerned about the country's plunging birth rate? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, Statin says the country's birth rate has been significantly declining over several decades. What's causing this? We'll get some perspectives from young people.
And at 8, it's Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings Weathers.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile Nationwide 90 FM, RevaNews.ai, and on the Reva News app that's available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, it's Wednesday, October 15, 2025.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Jamaica's population growth has declined to alarming levels. That's according to data from the now completed 2022 population and housing census carried out by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin. The data was presented today in New Kingston. It shows over the decade between 2011 and 2022, the Jamaican population grew by less than 3%. Siobhan Campbell was at the briefing.
As of 2022, Statin estimates that Jamaica's total population stood at 2,774,538 persons. This was just over 76,000 more individuals than the data collected in 2011. It's a growth rate of 2.8%. According to Statin's Director of Census's Demographic and Social Statistics Division, Stacey Ann Robinson, this is the country's lowest birth rate and population growth in 53 years.
The average annual growth rate of 0.24% was the lowest over the period 1970 to 2022. The growth rate observed was influenced by a 42.2% decline in the births, moving from 747,788 to 432,018 over the intercensal periods 1970 to 1982 to 2011 to 2020, and it was further impacted by population losses due to deaths moving from 188,993 to 236,687.
For comparison, from 1970 to 1982, the population grew by over 341,000 individuals. It was 227,000 for the period 1991 to 2001. It fell to below 100,000 for the first time between 2001 and 2011. Absolute growth for that period was just over 91,000 individuals. Statin Director General Leisha Delati-Bader says at the current trend, Jamaica is on its way to population decline.
We're seeing where births are declining, and that has been the trend over several decades. We're also seeing where deaths are increasing, and particularly we're also seeing where net migration has declined. When you put all of those factors together, we end up with a population that is growing, albeit at a much slower rate. And over time, what we have been seeing over the several decades of censuses is that the population growth rate is slowing down. This is very important because it means that if we continue on this path, we will ultimately get to a declining population. And this is an important takeaway from the results of the population and housing census that we are presenting today.
In terms of parish, St. Catherine registered the highest population growth at 26,500. This was followed by Clarendon and Kingston and St. Andrew, which added 13,500 and 10,500 respectively over the decade. At the absolute lowest end is Hanover, with only 247 individuals added over the period. St. Thomas was not far behind, at just 583. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Tensions flared in the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation on Wednesday after it was revealed that funds meant for work in various divisions were instead being used in part to cover salaries. Some councillors say they are yet to receive allocations from as far back as April. The meeting ended in disarray as members traded insults and accusations over who should take responsibility for the financial fallout. Shalois Michael was at the sitting.
The issue came to a head after JLP councillor for the Troja Division, Robert Grandison, questioned why some of his staff had been denied their allocations despite being told the money was available for pickup. That question prompted a call for the municipal corporation's Chief Executive Officer, Marvelyn Pitter, to give account. Minority Leader Theresa Turner Flynn echoed the councillor's concerns. She also raised the allocation issue, emphasizing how long councillors have been waiting for their funds.
There's June allocation here and there's July. 65.6. 62 something came for July. And the councillors who are supposed to receive the divisions, not the councillors, allocation in June, July, they are ready to receive it. And they have done the work. So I'm seeking answers to find out where is the allocation for the council.
Ms. Pitter told the meeting that some of those funds were redirected to cover monthly salaries. She also revealed that she has not been able to access the municipality's accounts.
Indicated and in writing that funds coming into the council for a particular purpose, it should be used for the purpose that it was intended for. As some councillors will know that I have been shut out of the system and up to now I can't get on. I called Social this morning because I must be able to authorize what is going on in the corporation's banking accounting system. All of the councillors whose allocation was used up have asked that information be presented to me.
Deputy Mayor, the PNP's Ralston Wilson, weighed in. He says the lack of funds is the fault of the local government ministry.
We can't kill the administrative staff. The money that is coming from central government is not adequate, and therefore we have a shortfall. And Ms. Which I'm going to ask you and Ms. Wood, whenever time funds come from central government, which is not enough, could you report it at finance to the councillors? Because we see how they are behaving.
Nationwide news sources have indicated the municipal corporation may owe up to $32 million in food and security bills. Mayor of Spanish Town, Norman Scott, was absent from the sitting. Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, the JLP caucus in the municipal corporation questioned an uneven distribution of $10 million allocated to provide water across the different divisions. Ms. Pitter, the CEO, assured the sitting that the distribution letter will be provided at a later date.
I remember the letter that came from
I am not here for neither one or the other. I'm here to speak the truth.
I can get the listing, but I don't know if all the process.
Send me out this afternoon.
No problem.
Alright.
Thank you very much, Council. I am not going to entertain any more questions. I am not going to entertain any more.
That's Marvelyn Pitt, the CEO of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. The chair of the meeting, Councillor Wilson, could also be heard accusing some of the JLP members of mischief making. The frustrated councillor abruptly ended the meeting amid continued pressing of questions from the JLP caucus concerning the finances of the municipal corporation. He insisted he would not continue, given what he described as the behavior of the JLP councillors.
Nationwide News understands that the ATL Automotive office on Oxford Road in St. Andrew was evacuated on Wednesday following the discovery of a suspicious package containing white powder. The police and the Jamaica Fire Brigade were called to the scene. The brigade reportedly arrived on scene at approximately 1 p.m. and the package was located and secured. But our sources say the police who were on location declined to remove the package to a testing facility. It's understood lawmen instead asked the members of the fire brigade to remove the package from the location. The firefighters denied the request, noting they did not have a testing facility to receive such a package. Sources say the police have contacted the Ministry of Health and Wellness to see how best to treat with the matter. It's understood that up to news time the package was still at the location and the office remains closed.
The St. Andrew North Police have withdrawn an arrest warrant against dancehall artist Movado. The entertainer was wanted in relation to an assault charge from 2018. The artist met with the police on Wednesday, clearing his legal woes. Commanding officer for the division, Superintendent Randy Sweeney, confirmed the development.
The St. Andrew North Police met with Mr. David Brooks and his attorney, and based on the information at hand and the circumstances, that matter has been closed.
Movado was wanted on a charge of assault occasioning actual bodily harm. It's understood the complainant had not taken steps to pursue the matter further. Movado's attorney, Hugh Waldman, says his client is relieved that he's been cleared.
And Mr. Brooks is now in Jamaica. We met with law enforcement, and law enforcement did all that they had to do, and they are now satisfied that there is nothing against, they have no interest against Mr. Brooks anymore. And so Mr. Brooks is free of any issue concerning law enforcement, and we are happy for this.
Hugh Waldman. Social media was set alight last evening when images of the artist on Jamaican soil began circulating online. Movado reportedly landed at the Norman Manley International Airport on Tuesday evening. He has not been to Jamaica for approximately 7 years. It's understood the artist was encouraged to not take any steps to disturb the peace in sections of the corporate area. You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
See twice the style for less at IQ Optical. Buy one pair of glasses and get your second and third pair half price. Don't miss out. Call 876-929-7732 or visit IQ Optical today, where clarity never looked sharper.
The time by IQ Optical is...
It's 14 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay.
MSME operators, the NWC MSME Amnesty is a lifeline. Grab it. Apply between September 1 and November 30, 2025. Visit nwcjamaica.com. Email us at customercare@nwc.com.jm. You can also visit any commercial office or dial 888-NWC. Get a 50% debt write-off on your small commercial account if you pay all other outstanding debts or sign a payment agreement to do so in 3 months. Apply today.
Continuing the news, local government minister Desmond McKenzie has warned homeless people taking refuge around the courts in downtown Kingston that the practice will no longer be tolerated. Minister McKenzie was speaking at a meeting with members of the homeless population and representatives from the Kingston and St. Andrew Poor Relief Department on Wednesday. Khalesia Wright reports.
In recent times, concerns have been raised about the presence of homeless persons in key sections of the capital city. Some of them have taken refuge in the vicinity of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal. In recent days, a security guard assigned to the courts was attacked, while a section of the court building was reportedly set on fire by a homeless person. The Jamaican Bar Association has also expressed safety concerns and called for action to resolve the situation. Minister McKenzie says the situation around the courts will no longer be tolerated.
The conditions around the courts is not something that we are going to tolerate much longer. You can all do better. It's one thing that you are out there, but if you're keeping the area clean, it won't be bad.
He says action will be taken in short order to address the issue.
I am asking you to work with us for us to improve the conditions, not just around the courts, but it is important that our courts, our judicial system, that area is kept in good condition. So I am giving all of you notice that we are going to be putting some steps in place. We are not going to allow any more gathering around the court and nastying up the place.
Minister McKenzie says arrangements will be made to accommodate homeless persons at the available shelters across the city.
We have facilities where you can go. We have enough space to take those of you who are around the court to go. One of the things I noticed, we have more male out there than female. So we know those of you who are around there, and we are going to start to make the arrangements to get you into the shelters.
Khalesia Wright for Nationwide News.
Executive Director of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, the NSWMA, Audley Gordon, says fuel theft remains a significant challenge for the agency. Mr. Gordon was speaking on Cliff Hughes Online today.
We had long suspected that there were instances of gas theft. We worked a system out where we engaged private contractor to retrofit our units with tracker. So very good tracker system that we knows where a truck stops, how long it stops. If they pull the tank to take out the gas, we know. And that is helping us with very good information. And information so concrete, so good is the information that we were able to work with the police and effect arrest.
The executive director was responding to concerns raised by Kingston's Mayor Andrew Swaby on the slow pace of garbage collection in some communities in the corporate area. According to Mayor Swaby, the late garbage collection is caused by employees of the NSWMA collecting salaries but doing no work. Several residents have also taken to social media in recent weeks to bemoan the delays in garbage collection. Mr. Gordon says the NSWMA will be increasing their monitoring of the garbage trucks to ensure timely and efficient service.
Nationwide News understands that the courier company employee who allegedly stole between $15 and $20 million in cash from a truck over the weekend is employed to beryllium. A manhunt is now on to find the suspect who worked as a driver for the company. The man was part of a 3-member team assigned to collect cash from the Megamart store on Waterloo Road in St. Andrew last Saturday. Sources say that while his 2 colleagues went inside the store, the driver remained in the vehicle. It's alleged that he then removed his uniform, left his firearm behind, and fled with the cash. Police reportedly conducted a search at his home in Linstead, St. Catherine, but he was not found. Sources say the suspect had not been seen in the community for months leading up to the incident.
Today is the deadline for candidates who contested a September 3 general election to submit their election expense report. That's according to the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, the ECJ. The Commission says the expense report must be submitted by all candidates or their official agents. The Commission says it must also be submitted on the prescribed form. The ECJ notes that the law limits election expenditure by a candidate to a maximum of $15 million. Contributors to election campaigns must also submit their declarations on the law by today.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute. Justice officials in Haiti have asked the United States and Canada for assistance after a court of appeal ordered a new investigation into the 2021 assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. It will be the 3rd inquiry since Moïse was gunned down at his private residence in July that year. The appeal court ruling was handed down on Monday. It overturns a 2023 indictment that had charged 51 people, including Moïse's widow, Martine Moïse, former National Police Director Leon Charles, and former Prime Minister Claude Joseph. According to a local newspaper, the appellate court intends to question the key figures, including Moïse's son and former Prime Minister Ariel Henry.
A judge has temporarily blocked Donald Trump from laying off thousands of federal workers during the government shutdown. It comes less than a week after the administration confirmed several agencies had begun laying off about 4,000 workers. The judge granted a request by 2 unions to block layoffs at more than 30 agencies. During the hearing, the judge agreed with the unions that the administration was unlawfully using the lapse in funding to carry out its downsizing plans. A U.S. Justice Department lawyer says the unions must bring their claims to a federal labor board before going to court. With the federal shutdown now in its 3rd week, the U.S. Senate again failed to pass a resolution that would reopen the federal government.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Statin is sounding an alarm as Jamaica's birth rate falls to alarming levels.
The institute says the population grew by less than 3% in the last decade.
The population growth rate is slowing down. It means that if we continue on this path, we will ultimately get to a declining population.
St. Catherine Municipal Corporation meeting ends in chaos as JLP councillors demand answers on funding allocations.
ATL building evacuated after delivery of suspicious package containing powdery substance.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
And listeners, you can find the news on our website at rivernews.ai and on the River News app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Need to make a change to your title or need a title? GeoLand Title Limited is the place to be. They do lost title application, add and remove names from titles, wills, estates, first-time registration, land surveys included, affordable rates and flexible payment options, National Land Agency adjudication and land titling waivers available. They have 8 locations island-wide. Call 876-754-6436 or visit their website at geolandonline.com. GeoLand Title Limited. Secure your land, secure your title.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Former champions Glenmere High School waltzed into the round of 16 in the Costa Cup football competition in style on Wednesday. They clobbered St. Mary High by 10 goals to 0. Top striker Oreen Watson led the way, 3 goals for Glenmere to move to 6 points in Group 5, and they're through with a game to spare. Defending champions Garvin Maceo moved closer to qualification after playing out a 1-1 draw with Titchfield in Group 7. Former champions Dintil and Clarendon College ended goalless in their big clash at Dintil, which leaves both teams at the top of Group 6 with 4 points apiece. It was the first time coach Lenny Hyde was facing Clarendon College since he left the Chapelton Bay School to take up the head coaching job at Dintil at the end of last season.
All veteran at this, calm out all the shots and tell the players them what are expected of them. Some things that we practice we didn't see today because of the situation. So it's a new team for me, a new situation for me. So it will take a time for them to get what I'm trying to get across to them.
Devon Anderson, who replaced Lenny Hyde at Clarendon College, says though Hyde was the center of the pre-game discussions, his players went to Linstead just to play football.
It was a very competitive game. I mean, any day I'll take a point away from home. Kudos to the youngsters. They went out there in a somehow hostile environment and they fought hard. Going away with a point. I had 1 3 points, but nevertheless, I'll take one and go.
Devon Anderson, coach of Clarendon College, in other completed scores received, defeated Petersfield 3-2. Kempsey outscored Cedric Titus by 5 goals to 3. And in updates, Mannings, they were leading BB Coke 2-0, and Froome, they were leading Cornwall College by 2 goals to 1. Head coach of Jamaica's under-17 girls national football team, Marlon Hilton, says he's excited and optimistic about the group his team was drawn in for the upcoming CONCACAF under-17 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. The young Reggae girls have been placed in Group D. They will face Honduras, Guyana, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Aruba. The qualifier is set to take place January 22 to February 2 of next year. Hilton expressed confidence in his squad's ability to progress to the next phase of the competition.
We're excited and motivated, after learning about the teams that we've drawn. It is a competitive group for one, but, one that presents a real opportunity for girls to showcase their talent. We respect every opponent though, but, we're focused on our own development and performance. And I think the goal is to prepare these young women to represent Jamaica with pride and confidence. Last year, we would have missed out on advancing to the final round by, I think, 2 points. So in terms of preparation this year, we have started. We've looked at some of our local girls already and, going forward, looking at some diaspora players. Trying really to focus on physical conditioning with these girls now, their tactical understanding and their mental readiness.
The 6 group winners and the 2 best second-place teams will advance to the final round of qualification, where they'll join regional powerhouses US, Mexico, Canada, and Puerto Rico, all of whom have received byes to that stage. Hilton added that the team has been working hard in their build-up to the qualifiers and is focused on consistent improvement.
One of our key factors this year is to try and get some international friendlies or let's say regional warm-up games to get to, understand what's out there, how we can get these girls to adapt to the different playing styles and say maybe match intensity. For sure, we've been getting the support from Joseph as well, corporate Jamaica as well, in terms of the girls being there. They deserve quality facility and, we're getting that, proper nutrition is there. That's coming from JFF and also from corporate and our sponsors there, So it's really been good. And, if there are others out there who do want to come in and invest, that would be great.
That's Marlon Hilton. President of the Jamaica Football Federation, Michael Ricketts, has expressed his satisfaction with the performance of the national senior men's football team following their emphatic victory by 4-0 over Bermuda in the stadium last evening in CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers. Ricketts commended the team's resilience and character in bouncing back from the loss.
We did play well, we entertained, we scored goals, and I think we had a pretty decent game. The other result, of course, would be what I personally would have wanted. So I think that was a good night for us as part of the process going forward. We are, I think, back on track. We just need to stay focused and, of course, ensure that to be very safe and very comfortable, win all the 2 games. We're not going to count our chickens before they're hatched because we still have some way to go. We're only a point ahead of Curacao. So it's very interesting. I'm just hopeful that we'll execute well and get some positive results.
JFF President Mike Ricketts. And finally, in sports at this time, India is set to host the centenary Commonwealth Games in 2030. The second time in 20 years that the event will be held in the world's most populous nation. The city of Ahmedabad in the west of the country has been chosen ahead of the Nigerian capital of Abuja by an evaluation commission from governing body Commonwealth Sport. And the decision to hold the games there in 5 years' time is now expected to be ratified at the organization's General Assembly in Glasgow on November 26. Ahmedabad can boast the Narendra Modi Stadium, the largest in the world, with a capacity of 132,000, which hosted the Cricket World Cup final in 2023. The city has a population in excess of 5 million people and has even been suggested as a potential bidder to host the future Olympic Games. President of the Commonwealth Games Association India, Dr. P.T. Usha, says she sees the 2030 Games as a powerful opportunity to inspire the nation's youth.
That is the good part for the host country, no? So naturally, because this Glasgow, because of last minute only they had come, because other countries withdrawn. That is why the event is not there. So India, when we wait, will more our game will try to get. It's good for the athletes, and after this is long wait, and even for me, I missed the bronze by 100th of a second in LA Olympics, and that is, I did my best, but there is no system at all at that. So for there, the system had come for good governance.
That's Dr. P.T. Usha. The Games first visited India in 2010 in the capital, Delhi. That's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade. From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocherias to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica's Airport, your global gateway. The temperature brought to you by the Airports Authority of Jamaica is
30 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's the same in the western city, Montego Bay.
Every school is free of unhealthy, ultra-processed products. You know, those high in salt, fats, and sugar. If only that weren't a dream. The reality is that many children have an unhealthy diet at school, and 23% of them are overweight or obese. This can lead to hypertension, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. Let's protect our children's right to health with a policy for schools that prevents unhealthy food marketing and ensures access to nutritious foods. The time is now. Let's implement the National School Nutrition Policy. A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica and partners.
MSME operators, the NWC MSME Amnesty is a lifeline. Grab it. Apply between September 1 and November 30, 2025. Visit nwcjamaica.com. Email us at customercare@nwc.com.jm. You can also visit any commercial office or dial 888-NWC. Get a 50% debt write-off on your small commercial account if you pay all other outstanding debts or sign a payment agreement to do so in 3 months. Apply today.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It's 5:33. It is a Wednesday. Welcome to the cover story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
My name is Sanjay Lewis. Good afternoon to you, Siobhan, and good afternoon to our listeners. And this afternoon, listeners, we'll be playing some clips from Statin's media briefing, which was held recently. And what we're hearing is that Jamaica's population growth has declined to alarming levels. That's according to the data from the now completed 2022 Population and Housing Census carried out by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin. The data was presented on Wednesday in New Kingston, and the data shows over the decade between 2011 and 2022, the Jamaican population grew by less than 3%.
That's right, listeners. As of 2022, Statin estimates that Jamaica's total population stood at 2,744,538 persons. This was just over 76,000 more individuals compared to 2011. It's a growth rate of a little under 3%. Well, the Director of Censuses, Demographic and Social Statistics Division at Statin, Stacey Ann Robinson, says this is the country's lowest birth rate and population growth in over half a century.
In 1982, the population accounted for 2.1 million. However, and I'm sure you're eager to see this, in 2022, the population recorded a count of 2.774538. Now, what would have influenced the movements in the population? There are three demographic processes that does this: births, deaths, and migration. In 1982, births was 747,788. So between 1970 and 1982, that intercensal period, births was 747,788. However, between 2011 and 2022, births declined to 432,018. Deaths in that same period was 188,993, but increased to 236,687. Net migration recorded 216,959, but declined to 118,776. Okay, so in summary, what I just mentioned is that Jamaica's population in 2022 was 2.7 million, an increase of 2.8% compared with the 2011 census, the previous census year. The average annual growth rate of 0.24% was the lowest over the period 1970 to 2022. The growth rate observed was influenced by a 42.2% decline in the births, moving from 747,788 to 432,018 over the intercensal periods 1970 to 1982 to 2011 to 2022. And it was further impacted by population losses due to deaths moving from 188,993 to 236,687. Components of population growth, 1980. The average annual number of births of 56,205 for the period 1982 to 1991 fell by 30.1%. to 39,274 for the intercensal period 2011 to 2022. Average annual deaths increased by 44.5% for the same period, from 14,886 to 21,517. Migration declined by 31.8% over the same period.
And that's Stacey Ann Robinson from Statin. And Ms. Robinson also went through population trends by parish.
When we examine the population change between 2011 and 2022, the parish with the largest increase was St. Catherine, which recorded a population growth of 26,545 people. That's 26,545 people. Clarendon ranks second, showing an increase of 13,540 people over the same period. This is followed by Kingston and St. Andrew, with a population growth of 10,478 people. These figures highlight where the most significant population shifts have occurred, indicating areas of growth that may require increased planning and, of course, resource allocation. This map shows the population density by parish for 2022. Less than or equal to 200 persons per square kilometer resided in Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, St. Thomas, Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, and Trelawney. 201 to 300 persons per square kilometer resided in Manchester and Clarendon. 401 to 500 persons per kilometer square resided in St. James and St. Catherine. Greater than 501 persons per square kilometer resided in Kingston and St. Andrew. Overall, Kingston and St. Andrew are the most densely populated parishes, followed by St. Catherine. Parishes such as Portland, St. Thomas, and Trelawney had some of the least densely populated communities due to their location to the cockpit country and the Blue Mountains. St. Andrew, St. Catherine, and Clarendon had some of the most dwellings per kilometer square. Trelawney, St. Elizabeth, and St. Mary accounted for some of the least number of dwellings per square kilometer. The map on screen illustrates the number of dwellings by communities in 2022. Notably, the greatest number of dwellings were found in communities in St. Catherine and St. Andrew. Parishes such as Portland and St. Thomas had many communities with a dwelling number less than 201.
That is Stacey Ann Robinson, Director of the Census's Demographic and Social Statistics Division at Statin. Well, meanwhile, Statin's Director General, Leisha Delati-Badere, says at the current trend, Jamaica is well on its way to population decline.
We're seeing where births are declining, and that has been the trend over several decades. We're also seeing where deaths are increasing, and particularly we're also seeing where net migration has declined. When you put all of those factors together, we end up with a population that is growing, albeit at a much slower rate. And over time, what we have been seeing over several decades of censuses is that the population growth rate is slowing down. This is very important because it means that if we continue on this path, we will ultimately get to a declining population. And this is an important takeaway from the results of the population and housing census that we are presenting today.
That's Leisha Delati-Badere. She's Statin's Director General. Well, the information presented here, it won't come as an immediate shock to a lot of Jamaicans. I think we've understood that we've had a declining birth rate and a somewhat shrinking population, so to speak, over the last last decade or so. So that information in itself should not come as a shock, but the rate at which that population growth is shrinking is quite surprising. I think it was 0.24% year on year between 2011 and 2022, and at this point in time, if this trend holds, it won't be long. I mean, by the next census, which would be 2030, we will probably be in population decline if something has not changed between now and then.
It's alarming, Siobhan, because I'm looking at the data, and between 2011 and 2022, we had a net gain of 2.8%, which is 76,000 people in 11 years. And there are many questions now that you have to ask. If it continues that way, what we're seeing is a shrinking younger population, and it means that fewer people eventually will enter the workforce. And then there will be a higher dependency ratio because people are now living longer. So you have to look now on the pensions and the social services and the demand that will have now on the country. Yeah, because when people get older, they're in retirement, they're going to need their pension, they're going to need certain social services.
And what is more concerning to me, I don't know to what extent COVID covers this concern, but the mortality rate in terms of number of deaths has increased, whereas the births have decreased. And I mean, I suppose a positive in all this, migration has also decreased over the period, but even then, we're not offsetting at the level where we need to grow our population, because we're already in a labor crunch as it stands now, and it seems under these circumstances that labor crunch will only get worse as time goes by, as we simply do not have the numbers to build back up that labor force as people retire out, and this has serious implications for things like pension, old age planning, health care, so many knock-on effects if we don't bring this into control over the next period. I mean, we can point to examples like Japan and South Korea, where they have reached terminal levels and are throwing everything at the wall to try and bring those numbers back up.
Yeah, and the government may eventually, if it continues this way, may have to look at some decisions to incentivize childbirth, whether it be tax reliefs, child care credits, housing access. But we have to reverse what we did in the 80s. I don't know if you remember, or you have read, Siobhan, about the 2 is better than too many campaign.
Yes.
Right?
I was joking in the newsroom that maybe we should say 2 is not enough.
So now it's time that the government eventually, may have to look at, is it that we may have to look at some initiatives to have individuals start producing more kids?
And I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the next segment. I mean, we're on a break and then we'll come back with more from the briefing. But I think in the later segment, we're going to discuss this concern as to what is really contributing to this declining birth rate. But we're up on a break and we come back with more from Statin's quarterly briefing.
Protecting your personal data is a priority for the Jamaica Customs Agency. We urge you to use the agency's official platforms to conduct your business. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:45.
Birdshot fried chicken always ready. Birdshot, original crispy. Birdshot, Cajun spicy. Birdshot, a barbecue. Birdshot, we are going Birdshot.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Montego Bay and Ocho Rios is...
It's 30 degrees Celsius both in Montego Bay and Ocho Rios.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Enough power tool, big to small. Chaka my figure dig the wall.
Up a Total Tools.
Beat back a figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total Tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slide Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We're looking into the 2022 population housing census presented by Statin this afternoon, where the population growth rate, the worst seen since 1972, 2.8%, the absolute figure just over 76,000 people added between 2011 and 2022. Well, the people at Statin also touched on this matter of urbanization, where Stacey Ann Robinson says the distinction between, well, she pointed out and highlighted the distinctions between the types of urban areas in the country.
Urbanization refers to the rapid increase in the proportion of the population living in towns and cities within an area of a country. The term urban refers to areas characterized by high population density and built environments, including cities and towns, where most economic activities are non-agricultural and infrastructure is well developed. Statin defines an urban area as a densely populated locality with at least 2,000 inhabitants and a population density of 500 or more persons per kilometer square, and advanced socio-economic infrastructure. Statin defines a rural area as one characterized by low population density with fewer than 500 persons per kilometer square and limited infrastructure development. So now, in Jamaica, the distinction between urban and rural areas is based on differences in population density, available amenities, and the functional use of land in each area. And here you can see some of the amenities, right, that a urban area has. So security, regular garbage collection, secondary schools, healthcare facilities, water supply inside dwellings, financial services, land use for commercial and residential purposes. Now, there are levels of urbanization, and we have 4 classes of urbanization, urban areas, right? So let us start with these 2 on screen. Class A urban areas include all parish capitals, which serve as the main administrative centers of the country. These areas are characterized by high population densities and comprehensive access to major urban amenities and services. And some notable examples are the KMA, Morant Bay, Falmouth, Montego Bay, and Spanish Town. These areas are classified as urban area, Class A urban areas. Class B urban areas also exhibit high population densities, but do not serve as the primary administrative centers of their respective parishes. While their amenities are of a lower order than those found in parish capitals, some may offer comparable levels of services. Notable examples of these areas are Portmore in St. Catherine and Santa Cruz in St. Elizabeth. Now onto Class C and Class D urban areas. Class C urban areas represent medium-sized, growing urban centers. These areas have moderate population densities and are experiencing steady improvements in urban infrastructure and amenities. And some examples of these areas are Duncan's in Trelawney, Grange Hill in Westmoreland, and Chapelton in Clarendon. Class D urban areas are emerging urban centers with lower population densities and limited access to urban services. These areas are in the preliminary stages of urban development, and some examples of these areas are White House, Petersfield, and Darlington, and these areas can be found in Westmoreland. Bamboo, Alexandra, and Monique, and these areas are in St. Anne, and Bath and Yallis in St. Thomas.
Well, mention is made there of Petersfield in Westmoreland, where I'm actually from. Yeah, but in the parish breakout, Ms. Robinson says Kingston's designation as 100% urban has not changed since last census.
Let us look now at urbanization of parishes in 2022. And this chart on screen, it illustrates the top 5 urbanized parishes. Notably, all of Kingston is considered as urban. You're seeing 100% there. And there has been no change in this since previous censuses. 90% of St. Andrew is considered urban, followed by St. James and St. Catherine, respectively. This growth is attributed to the expansion and development of key urban areas such as Montego Bay, St. Andrew proper, Spanish Town, and Portmore, as well as Old Harbour. So this slide, total number of urban and rural enumeration districts by parish, 2011 to 2022. It shows the distribution of enumeration districts, or EDs as we call it, and it shows that there has been changes between the 2011 and 2022 censuses. You can see the breakdown of urban and rural areas by parish across both censuses rows, right? We're seeing 2011 as well as 2022. And if you look at the total there, you're seeing that about 61% of the EDs were considered urban, right? And approximately 39% rural.
That's Stacey Ann Robinson. She's the director of the Censuses, Demographic and Social Statistics Division at Staten. And I know there have been a lot of concerns about the integrity of the 2022 census due to the delays and other concerns raised. Well, the Director General actually addressed this matter. She sought to defend the delayed census, and she also extended an apology.
We know we've had a lot of discussion and discourse around the census for many months. And we are here at the point where we are releasing the first set of results for the population and housing census. The 2022 population and housing census marked Jamaica's 15th such undertaking. It was conducted in the context of the globally disrupted 2020 World Program on Population and Housing Census. And can anybody tell me why it was globally disrupted? COVID. The census in Jamaica was scheduled to be conducted in 2021 originally, but it was postponed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And eventually we started data collection on September 12, 2022, which was designated Census Day. Now, the initial planning phase of the census, which is typically around 5 years, was significantly disrupted by the impact of pandemic-related measures, which delayed some of our preparatory activities and disrupted recruitment systems development, and procurement. Now, while our experience with the 2022 census was unprecedented for us, it actually mirrored international trends. Globally, national statistics offices had to contend with the impact of the pandemic, but as well, we were contending with heightened privacy concerns and rapid digital transformation, which presented unprecedented obstacles to traditional enumeration. To quote the United Nations Economic and Social Council, the 2020 census round faced challenges primarily due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and, to a lesser degree, financial constraints, technical difficulties, and political and social insecurity. Now, in this post-pandemic period, for the first time, we were also transitioning to a digital census, where we incorporated the wide-scale use of technologies, such as tablets for data collection, along with digital systems for recruitment, human resource management, and as well as e-learning measures were deployed during the training of census workers. However, unfortunately, this had less than desirable results, and we have had the national discussion around the impact of e-learning. During the execution of the census, the Institute also experienced some administrative and operational challenges, which unfortunately resulted in lags in the verification and approval of the data collected, and this ultimately delayed payments to some of our census workers. On behalf of the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, I extend an apology to those census field workers who were actually impacted by payment delays. We know how difficult data collection is, and we value the contribution of our field workers. Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to report that our records show that all census workers who were due for payment have been paid. This marks the successful resolution of one of the major issues that we encountered during the census. At the end of our very extended data collection period, which concluded in December 2024, on our review, we had a less than ideal coverage, particularly in some geographic areas and certain population groups. What this necessitated was innovative strategies and careful review to ensure the accuracy and completeness of the final results. In response to the challenges that we were encountering, Statin implemented certain strategic adjustments to safeguard the integrity of the results coming out of the census. This included the use of a shortened questionnaire, rapid listing teams that focused exclusively on the count, as well as an expansion in the offering of the online option. Now, while these measures together combined ensure that we capture the national population count and that we're able to get information on certain key demographic characteristics, some detailed indicators, which are typically available from census estimates, will not be available, or they will only be available at a much higher level of aggregation. Now, these are the unavoidable data limitations of the responses we had to put in place in response to the challenges.
That's Alicia Delattibadir, Statin's Director General. Well, I mean, I'm noting the comments in YouTube about where Nationwide is in terms of our own child rearing, Sanjay. I'll leave those discussions for later in the evening, but needless to say, I'm sure the universal concern as to many of the staff in terms of their lack of children is cost.
Money, cost, yeah
cost.
And
At
one
the
of
end
the
of the
biggest
day.
things many individuals complain about the cost to grow a child now, yeah, and it's the reality.
But as I said, listeners, it's time for the headlines. But as I said, I'm sure we will have very spirited discussions about this later in the evening. So the headlines are next.
Taboo topics. Bulletins after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Boyatings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Jamaica's population growth has declined to alarming levels. That's according to data from the now completed 2022 Population and Housing Census carried out by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin. Statin's Director of Censuses, Demographic and Social Statistics Division, Stacey Ann Robinson, says this is the country's lowest birth rate and population growth in 50 years.
The average annual growth rate of 0.24% was the lowest over the period 1970 to 2022. The growth rate observed was influenced by a 42.2% decline in the births, moving from 747,788 to 432,018 over the intercensal periods 1970 to 1982 to 2011 to 2020, and it was further impacted by population losses due to deaths moving from 188,993 to 236,687.
Stacey Ann Robinson, Statin's Director of Censuses, Demographic and Social Statistics Division. For comparison, from 1970 to 1982, the population grew by over 341,000 individuals. It fell to below 100,000 for the first time between 2001 and 2011. Statin Director General Alicia Delattibadir says at the current trend, Jamaica is on its way to population decline.
We're seeing where births are declining, and that has been the trend over several decades. We're also seeing where deaths are increasing, and particularly we're also seeing where net migration has declined. When you put all of those factors together, we end up with a population that is growing, albeit at a much slower rate. And over time, what we have been seeing over the several decades of censuses is that the population growth rate is slowing down. This is very important because it means that if we continue on this path, we will ultimately get to a declining population. And this is an important takeaway from the results of the population and housing census that we are presenting today.
Lisha Delati-Badir, Statin Director General. Tensions flared in the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation on Wednesday after it was revealed that funds meant for work in various divisions were instead being used in part to cover salaries. The issue came to a head after JLP councillor for the Troja Division, Robert Grandison, questioned why some of his staff had been denied their allocations despite being told the money was available for pickup. That question prompted a call for the Municipal Corporation's Chief Executive Officer, Marvelyn Pitter, to give account. Ms. Pitter told the meeting that she has not been able to access the municipality's accounts.
Indicated and in writing that funds coming into the council for a particular purpose, it should be used for the purpose that it was intended for. As some councillors will know that I have been shut out of the system and up to now I can't get on. I called Scotiabank this morning because I must be able to authorize what is going on in the corporation's banking accounting system. All of the councillors whose allocation was used up have asked that information be presented to me.
Marvelyn Pitter, CEO of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. Deputy Mayor, the PNP's Ralston Wilson, weighed in. He says the lack of funds is the fault of the local government ministry.
We can't kill the administrative staff. The money that is coming from central government is not adequate, and therefore we have a shortfall. And Ms. Which I'm going to ask you and Ms. Gooden, whenever time funds come from central government, which is not enough, could you report it at finance to the councillors? Because we see how they are behaving.
PNP's Ralston Wilson, Deputy Mayor. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie has warned homeless people taking refuge around the courts in downtown Kingston that the practice will no longer be tolerated.
The conditions around the courts is not something that we are going to tolerate much longer. You can all do better. It's one thing that you are out there, but if you're keeping the area clean, it won't be bad.
Minister McKenzie says arrangements will be made to accommodate homeless persons at the available shelters across the city.
We have facilities where you can go. We have enough space to take those of you who are around the court to go. One of the things I noticed, we have more male out there than female. So we know those of you who are around there, and we are going to start to make the arrangements to get you into the shelters.
Desmond McKenzie, Local Government Minister. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
My Mega Mart, best value by far.
With so much to do in one location, make Mega Mart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Mega Mart, the best value by far.
everybody want a safer country right now.
One thing about Jamaicans, we might have differences, but we know when something is good for all of us. And when we work together against crime and violence, we are stronger than ever. And that's how we know the Citizen Security Plan can work.
That one I name CSP.
The Citizen Security Plan is an initiative of the Ministry of National Security in partnership with the European Union. It's an all-of-government effort to create safer streets and build stronger communities. Go to mns.gov.jm to learn how you can play your part.
Good evening and welcome to your sports report. I'm Oreen Buchanan. Former champions Glenmuir High waltzed into the round of 16 of the East Costa Cup football competition in style on Wednesday after clobbering St. Mary High 10-0. Top striker Oreen Watson led the way with 3 goals for Glenmuir to move to 6 points in Group 5, and they are through with a game to spare. Defending champions Garvin Mercier moved closer to qualification after playing out a 1-1 draw with Titchfield in Group 7. Former champions Dintil and Clarendon College ended goalless in their big clash at Dintil, which leaves both teams at top of Group 6 with 4 points each. It was the first time Coach Lenny Hyde was facing Clarendon College since he left the Chapelton-based school to take up the head coaching job at Dintil at the end of last season.
All veteran at this calm our call the shots and tell the players them what are expected of them. Some things that we practice or didn't see today because of the situation. So it's a new team for me, a new situation for me. So it will take a time for them to get what I'm trying to get across to them.
Devon Annis, who replaced Hyde at Clarendon College, says though Hyde was at the centre of the pre-games discussion, his players went to Linstead to play football.
It was a very competitive game. I mean, any day I'll take a point away from home. Kudos to the youngsters. They went out there in a somehow hostile environment and they fought hard. Going away with a point. I had 3 points, but nevertheless, I'll take 1 and 2.
Devon Anderson, coach of Clarendon College. Also making progress to the round of 16 were the Manning School, whose 2-0 win over BB Cook took them to 6 points, and Christiana, who defeated Belair, also 2-0, both advancing from Group 3. Maldon are through from Group 4, this after seeing off Knox College 3-0. In other completed scores, Received defeated Petersfield 3-2, Kem Seal outscored Cedric Titus 5-3, and Froome are leading Cornwall College 2-1. Head coach of Jamaica's under-17 girls national football team, Marlon Hilton, says he's excited and optimistic about the group his team has drawn for the upcoming CONCACAF under-17 FIFA Women's World Cup qualifiers. The young Reggae girls have been drawn in Group D, where they'll face Honduras, Guyana, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Aruba. The qualifiers are set to take place from January 22 to February 2nd of 2026. Hilton expressed confidence in his squad's ability to progress to the next phase of the competition.
We're excited and motivated, after learning about the teams that we've drawn. It is a competitive group for one, but one that presents a real opportunity for girls to showcase their talent. We respect every opponent though, but we're focused on our own development and performance. And I think the goal is to prepare these young women to represent Jamaica with pride and confidence. Last year we would have missed out on advancing to the final round by I think 2 points. So in terms of preparation this year, we have started. We've looked at some of our local girls already and, going forward, looking at some diaspora players. Trying really to focus on physical conditioning with these girls now, their tactical understanding and their mental readiness.
The 6 group winners and the 2 best runners-up will advance to the final round of the qualification process, where they'll join regional powerhouse USA, Mexico, Canada and Puerto Rico, all of whom have received byes to that stage. Hilton added that the team has been working hard in their build-up to the qualifiers and is focused on consistent improvement.
One of our key factors this year is to try and get some international friendlies or let's say regional warm-up games to get to, understand what's out there, how we can get these girls to adapt to the different playing styles and say maybe match intensity. For sure, we've been getting the support from Joseph as well, corporate Jamaica as well, in terms of the girls being there. They deserve quality facility and, we're getting that, proper nutrition is there. That's coming from JFF and also from corporate and our sponsors there, So it's really been good and if there are others out there who do want to come in and invest, that would be great.
Marlon Hilton. Meanwhile, President of the Jamaica Football Federation, JFF, Michael Ricketts, has expressed his satisfaction with the performance of the national senior men's team following their emphatic 4-0 victory over Bermuda in the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers at the National Stadium on Tuesday night. The result marked a strong response from the Reggae Boys, who were coming off a disappointing 2-0 defeat to Curaçao just days earlier. With the win, Jamaica surged to the top of Group B with 9 points, one ahead of Curaçao. Ricketts commended the team's resilience and character in bouncing back from the loss.
We did play well, we entertained, we scored goals, and I think we had a pretty decent game. The other result, of course, would be what I personally would have wanted. So I think that was a good night for us as part of the process going forward. We are, I would think, back on track. We just need to stay focused and, of course, ensure that to be very safe and very comfortable, win all the 2 games. We're not going to count our chickens before they're hatched because we still have some way to go. We're only a point ahead of Curaçao. So it's very interesting. I'm just hopeful that we'll execute well and get some positive results.
Despite the victory and the position atop the group, Ricketts is urging caution and focus, reminding fans and players alike that the mission is far from complete. Jamaica will now turn their attention to the penultimate group match away to Trinidad and Tobago before returning home to host Curaçao in what could be a decisive fixture to determine the group winner. With only the top team advancing automatically to the next stage of the qualifiers, the pressure remains high.
We play Trinidad in Trinidad on November 13th and then come back to engage Curaçao on November 18th. So those 2 games are critical, crucial as part of the process qualifying for the World Cup. So we just want to stay focused. The players have been in good spirits and are intent on going to the World Cup like most of us are.
Michael Ricketts. India is set to host the Centenary Commonwealth Games in 2030, the second time in 20 years that the event will be held in the world's most populous nation. The city of Ahmedabad in the west of the country has been chosen ahead of Abuja in Nigeria by an evaluation commission from governing body Commonwealth Sport. And the decision to hold the Games there in 5 years' time is now expected to be ratified at the organization's General Assembly in Glasgow on November 26. Ahmedabad can boast the Narendra Modi Stadium, the largest in the world, with a capacity of 132,000, which hosted the Cricket World Cup final in 2023. The city has a population in excess of 5 million people and has even been suggested as a potential bidder to host future Olympic Games. President of Commonwealth Games Association India, Dr. P.T. Usha, says she sees the 2030 Games as a powerful opportunity to inspire the nation's youth.
That is the good part for the host country, no? So naturally, because this Glasgow, because of last minute only they had come, because other countries withdrawn. That is why the event is not there. So India, when we wait, we'll more our game will try to get. It's good for the athletes and after this is long wait, and even for me, I missed the bronze by 100th of a second in LA Olympics, and that is, I did my best, but there is no system at all at that. So for there, the system had come for good governance.
Dr. P.T. Usha. The Games first visited India in 2010 when Delhi hosted. It is the second time Abuja has missed out on staging the Commonwealth Games, having been overlooked for the 2014 edition in favour of Glasgow, and it also means Africa's way to hold the event for a first time will continue. Cricket West Indies CWI is proud to unveil We Building, a new monthly recap designed to spotlight the progress and ongoing efforts within the regional cricket development pathway. This initiative reinforces CWI's commitment to transparency, accountability and consistent engagement with fans, stakeholders and the wider cricketing community. Alric Swaby tells us more.
We Building will offer readers an inside look at the people, programs and performance milestones shaping the future of West Indies cricket. From grassroots and youth development to the West Indies Academy and senior programs, each edition will chart the steps being taken to rebuild and strengthen cricket in the Caribbean. President of Cricket West Indies, Dr. Kishore Shallow, said rebuilding West Indies cricket requires long-term vision, investment and dedication at every level. Dr. Shallow said, with rebuilding, we want to regularly share how that work is unfolding. It's a space to celebrate progress, acknowledge challenges, and highlight the talent and commitment driving our resurgence. The monthly recap will include spotlights on grassroots and youth initiatives across member territories, updates from the West Indies Academy, including player development, training camps, and educational progress, performance summaries from regional and international fixtures, behind-the-scene features on coaches, mentors, and program leaders, and strategic updates aligned with CWI's long-term development goals. Alric Sirbe reporting for Nationwide Sports.
Thanks, Alric. And now to wrap up sports, rain continues to wreak havoc at the ICC Women's World Cup in India for a second straight day. Teams are forced to share the points as the big match of day 16 between England and Pakistan in Colombo was called off prematurely.
The umpires called the captains. There was an air of inevitability about what came next. No more time. We've tried our best. Ground staff have done their best, but rain wins. That is a real shame for Pakistan and their captain, Fatima Sana.
The game was reduced to 31 overs aside, with England scoring 133 for 9. Charlie Dean top scored with 32 as captain Fatima Sana bagged 4 for 27 for Pakistan. There was a further revision with Pakistan asked to get 113 and were 34 without loss after 6.4 overs. Action will continue tomorrow as the unbeaten Australia will lock horns with Bangladesh or on a 3-game losing streak. Match time is set for 4:30 a.m. Jamaica time. Those are your stories making our sports report for this evening. I'm Oreen Buchanan.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
Spring into style with Unique Living. Upgrade your home with our extensive range of products. Get sleek shower panels, stylish vanities, LED and non-LED mirrors, plus kitchen sinks, closet solutions, ceiling fans, and more. Available in various finishes and sizes. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10. Call 876-755-3661 or visit our website at www.uniquelivingja.com. Don't wait to spring into style with Unique Living.
Why free? Every community, the citizen security plan, yeah, it need all our way. Yo, make your vote. Everybody want a safer country right now. Why free? Every community, the citizen security plan, yeah, it need all our way. Yo, make your vote. Every Jamaican proud to turn it up. Stand up. That one a name CSP. One up. Marcus the education and the key. Stand up. Crime prevention better than cure. Lock the gun there. Open more door. The youth them on the future check them heads as well. Professional help protect the mental health. Squaddy everybody a link and give a strength. Everybody a government unity strength. Every community, the citizen security plan, yeah, it need all our way. Yo, make your vote. Everybody want a safer country right now.
The Citizen Security Plan is an initiative of the Ministry of National Security in partnership with the European Union. It's an all-of-government effort to create safer streets and build stronger communities. Go to mns.gov.jm to learn how you can play your part.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, nationwide this morning for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special one to our friends over on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for joining us. We invite you to weigh in live in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. And this one, Mawasuna comment pan. Okay. Jamaica's population growth has declined to alarming levels. That's according to data from the now completed 2022 population and housing census carried out by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin. The data shows that over the decade between 2011 and 2022, the Jamaican population grew by less than 3%. As of 2022, Statin estimates that Jamaica's total population stood at 2,774,538 persons. This was just over 76,000 more individuals than the data collected in 2011. Now, according to Statin's Director of Censuses, Demographic and Social Statistics Division, Stacey Ann Robinson, she says this is the country's lowest birth rate and population growth in 50 years.
The average annual growth rate of 0.24% was the lowest over the period 1970 to 2022. The growth rate observed was influenced by a 42.2% decline in the births, moving from 747,788 to 432,018 over the intercensal periods 1970 to 1982 to 2011 to 2020, and it was further impacted by population losses due to deaths moving from 188,993 to 236,687.
That's Stacey Ann Robinson, Statin's Director of Censuses, Demographic and Social Statistics Division. So let's get into it, right? In Public Opinion this evening, we're asking, are you concerned by the plunging birth rate? Yeah. Not many children being had. Yeah. All right, let's go. Philip Jackson on Facebook is saying, I'm more concerned about abortions and all other kinds of pro-life practices to include pregnancy prevention methods. Those are the biggest contributions to our problems. What you're not saying? Wesley Cunningham is saying, yes, but government tell people that 2 is better than too many. Daphne McCreath, yes, it is something to be concerned about because while the older population is going down, there is no younger ones to fill the space little more. Yeah, some people are saying that they can't manage children because they are poor, but I think reason why some of these women don't want children is that they're rather a sportish life. They can go anywhere they want to go and do anything they want to do. They don't want to settle down. According to Daphne McCree, the woman them not settle down. Some of them said children are a burden and they hold them back. So they are using all kinds of methods so they can't get pregnant. Fantastic Bell says things and time change. It really don't make sense to bring children in this world and can't take care of them the proper way because of the financial strain on so many of us at this point in time. Audrey Allen saying to us, yes, she's concerned. In a few years from now, the country will be in serious problems due to the unavailability of our human resources. Kevin O'Neill saying, choose Jamaica. He's referring to police fatal shootings here. Steve, this is Servode. Servode is saying, no, it's happening all over the world. Must be a reason. Paradigm shift. Natalie is saying, no, not concerned. Many are unplanned pregnancies with no financial stability, burdening the government and using taxpayers' money for support, which should be used for building the country. Robert Ranger says, yes. I'm concerned. So what about you? On our YouTube, are you concerned about the country's plunging birth rate? How you feel about that? Let me see if I can get in some of these comments over on our YouTube. Why down on the females? What happened to the males? Well, I guess one can do without the other in order for procreate. All right. News commentator says, and if they want a sportish life, it's better they do that than have children and give them no time. Talk truth. Dion is saying the entertainment lifestyle has a negative impact on family orientation. Persons choose to enjoy themselves than caring for children and family. SMD says is questioning no male responsibility. Huh? Why is just we women? Why bugs? In bugs? Why not men? Men in short supply, says Crystal Tall. Jacqueline said a vaccine at work. Wonder which vaccine you take, Jacqueline. Let me see. Ronald, so if you ask the NNN men them. Man them, wagwan. Wagwan books, wagwan. David Nabar says, I'm going to start a baby company. I know some may make light of this situation, but it is really a concerning one. Carlene Smith says, I am concerned. I want my pension when it's time. Yeah. Michael Wright is saying, most of the guys are always face boy, just work. Yeah? And they're not eating well. Would you look at that? They're just working and not eating well. Jacqueline said a vaccine, dry up the oil. I don't know what that means, but okay. Let's see if we can get more. SMDA, the 2 is better than too many, still stuck in my head. Women are career focused. Yeah. Let me see if I can get in a few more on this one. Crystal Tall says a lot of the women turn to women. Okay. Yeah, a lot of the women turn to women and men turn to men. I get that from you. Let's see if we can get this one. Marie is saying too much face. Too much face. Okay. Jamaican for Life says NNN Gildings should start the process by getting married. Okay. Sharon Bless, I see your comment, but me, you know, so I can't read this on the people in radio station. VB says, again, it's not about babies. It's getting back to marriages. Yeah, where you say marriage come before the babies. Bugs, I see you eating your pine over there, eating all healthy and thing. Good for you. Verly Green is saying, yes, you must have children to take care of you whenever you get on in age. Some men are impotent. 2 is better than too many was referring to women. Wow. On Instagram, Desireen is saying cost of living and everything else is just way too expensive. Hey, it's Lady Cutchinson. Many people are short-sighted enough not to be concerned about it, but in the medium to long term, it will be of great concern to the country and its remaining citizens. Masika Sina is saying, nope, not concerned, not one bit. I hope it goes really lower in these harsh, terrible economic times, non-caring times. Alpha is saying none. No concern whatsoever. Make home ownership more affordable, then people will consider it. These apartments can't even hold a playpen, plus couch, bedrooms, can't even hold crib for the ridiculous prices. And let's not talk about how 2 or 5 mothers go in to have babies, don't make it out alive because of delinquent staff. Wow. Slimmers is saying some clinics don't even have any depot injections. Wonder if the government way to get women to conceive. I don't believe that, Slimmers. iBossy is saying no, don't have children if you can't care for them 100%. And Shamar is saying not really, however, is somewhat going to be a concern in the long term. Sharon says we are big people. I can't read that on the people in radio station, Sharon. Frank White says, friend zone turn into gelding. PB, children need stability and proper care. Totally agree with you there. Totally agree with you. What is the biggest problem? David Nabar. Some prefer freedom over kids nowadays. I mean, you know what? To each his own. No one knows what one can manage. That's my take on it. Nobody knows what any single person can manage. You may see someone living their life and say, oh, it's enjoyment them want and all kind of arse and go fat. But you don't know. Speak for yourself. If you want enjoyment, then sure, by all means. If you don't want to have any children, but yes. To each his own. In this day and age, to each his own. The population, Carlene is saying, if the population declines, who will pay into that fund? She was responding to someone up here, news commentator. Who am I? Says chapter 1, the birth. Yeah. Sharon is questioning why we must make real things be taboo. No, man, Sharon, it's not necessarily real things being taboo, is what you're able to say on air. Okay? All right. A lot of comments coming in on this one. And McHugh says yes, to each his own. Yeah, more and more women having PCOS now. Yes, man, that show says worse, but it's after dark. That's why it comes at a certain time, Sharon. Father Perry says, so no population growth, Robian. Are you kidding me? It says 3%, less than 3%. Yeah? The population growth has declined to alarming levels. That's according to Statin. Yeah? That's according to Statin. The data shows over the decade between 2011 and 2022, the Jamaican population grew by less than 3%. Yeah? If you have children, take care of them. Always. Always. I believe in that. You can't leave them to the mercy of the world. Take care of the kids them. Earlier this week, I saw someone, a prominent attorney, who shared a picture of children on the streets just begging. I'm going to subscribe to them someday. You have the pit of them, take care of them. Yeah? Find somebody, take care of them. Can't just be having children and leaving them all willy-nilly to go and fend for themselves. But guys, I'm getting the wrap-up signal. Thank you so much for participating in Public Opinion. My word to you is just do the do. Yeah? Whatever it is that you're doing, just do the do. If you want more, get more. If you don't want any more, that's just about it. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:35.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit accounts puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robian Williams. Motorists should see a decrease at the pumps in the price of gasoline effective Thursday, October 16. That's tomorrow. And that's coming from the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam. 90 octane will see a $2.50 decline per litre, while 87 octane will dip by $2.19 per litre. Automotive diesel fuel will see a decline of $1.04, while ultra-low sulfur diesel will go down by $1.42. Propane liquid petroleum will go down by 25 cents, and butane liquid petroleum will see a decline of 25 cents. So too will kerosene. Further afield, a judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration from laying off thousands of federal workers during the government shutdown. It comes less than a week after the administration confirmed several agencies had begun laying off about 4,000 workers. U.S. District Judge Susan Ilston granted a request by 2 unions to block layoffs at more than 30 agencies. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 161 Jamaican dollars and 72 cents to buy $1 US, 216 Jamaican dollars and 54 cents to buy 1 British pound, and 114 Jamaican dollars and 83 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Roby Ann Williams. Good evening.
Home is closer than you think when you save towards your dream home with the Homeowners Savings Plan, or HOSP, from CIBC Caribbean. With HOSP, you unlock preferential interest rates to earn more interest on your savings and pay less with a discounted mortgage rate. You can even borrow up to an additional US $5,000 or its equivalent to help you with your closing costs. Get home faster when you save the HOSP way with CIBC.
Give your team a glow up at the 2025 Business and Personal Etiquette Conference on November 6th at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Procure the presence, polish, and professionalism to make your team unforgettable. Hosted by Make Your Mark Consultants in partnership with Caledonia Outdoor Advertising, Visual Tech Solutions, Nationwide 90 FM, Main Event, and more. Register now at makeyourmarkgroup.com or call 876-978-6001 for the Business and Personal Etiquette Conference.
Taboo topics,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between. Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings, each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Boyatings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton, weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With this thing, Honeybee
and Kareem Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you say?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions.
Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. It is almost time for the nation's business, but I understand we have an update regarding some news from our own Deputy Executive Editor, George Davis. Sir Davis, good evening.
Good evening, Chevron. How are you?
I'm doing quite well.
Who's with you, Sanjay?
Yes.
Yes. Good evening, Sanjay, my friend.
Good evening, George.
All right, so it's not a good evening for one family. I've just called to interrupt your program to tell our listeners, update our listeners on an item of news, gentlemen. I have confirmed that a police constable has committed suicide. And I felt it necessary to say, make the report at this time, given the, I don't want to say spate of suicide, because it's not quite heavy as spate, but the frequency of reports of suicide, suspected suicide, that has heightened in recent weeks, and this is another one. So my information is that the constable, 37 years old, I have a name, but you know how these things go with informing next of kin. You don't want to be hearing your loved one passing on the radio or see it in the media. So I'll hold the name for now, but he's 37 years old. He was found, his body was found hanging from a tree in Barbary Hall in St. Andrew early, just after 5 p.m., I'm being told, just after 5 p.m., attached to the St. Andrew Central Division on the studio station at Halfway Tree. And for reasons unknown, it's believed that he ended his own life just after 5 p.m. today.
That is unfortunate news. Thank you for the update, George. I'm sure we'll have more details once the family has been properly informed. And
yes, Ruby, and we'll be doing the story for the morning news.
Yes, thank you for that, George.
All right,
thank you, George.
You're welcome.
Unfortunate way to start the nation's business, Sanjay, but we have to press on, and we are still talking about matters of the population growth, which has declined. That's according to data from the now completed 2022 population and housing census carried out by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin. The data was presented today at the S Hotel in New Kingston. It shows over the decade between 2011 and 2022, the Jamaican population grew by less than 3%.
And as of 2022, Statin estimates that Jamaica's total population stood at 2,774,538 persons. This was just over 76,000 more individuals than the data collected in 2011. It's a growth rate of 2.8%. And for comparison, from 1970 to 1982, population grew by over 341,000 individuals. It was 227,000 for the period 1991 to 2001.
It first fell to below 100,000 for the 2001 to 2011 period, where the absolute growth was just 91,000 individuals. Well, according to Statin, the growth rate observed was influenced by a 42.2% decline in births over the intercensal periods 1970 to 1982 to 2011 to 2022. It also says the average annual number of births for the period 1982 to 1991 fell by 30.1% for the intercensal period 2011 to 2022. Well, what's causing this? That's the question we're asking. And for perspectives, we're turning to lawyer and social development advocate Christina Williams, managing director of Yardway Development and Trading Company, Dr. Donnell Martin, communication specialist Roger Danvers, and human rights attorney Kayla Wright. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, all.
Good evening. Hi, good evening.
Good evening to you all. Just to sound off, Kayla, right? You're there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Roger?
Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Dr. Martin?
I'm here listening.
Christina Williams?
Present.
Okay, just making sure that everyone is there. So, starting with you, Christina Williams, we were having a jestful discussion here in the newsroom earlier about what is contributing to or lack of getting ready to settle down and have those children, and it always comes down to cost, almost universally here. Do you see that as the major issue?
I think cost is definitely one of the issues, and I know that a number of my colleagues on the call are going to talk about cost. And, they're going to reel off the fact that, unemployment is at an all-time low at 3.5%, but we do see youth unemployment remaining in the double figures. I think right now we're looking at 11%, and we do have concerning rates of underemployment. But I want to mention that I think there's also an aspect that we're not looking at, which is interpersonal relationships between the genders that we need to procreate together. I wanted to bring it there in a different perspective, because I know others will talk about the cost. And I say that because for us to have the family that we're talking about, to have the babies, I'm sure we're not just looking at the colonial past and the colonial history of just having single mothers, even single fathers, because I was raised by a single father, or to have these visiting relationships. I'm sure we want to have nuclear or extended family settings. And the truth is that there is I would say there's still a breakdown in our society in terms of the family structures that we have, the healthy relationships relationships and a healthy dynamic between partners and people who would want to procreate together. And I think that a part of the conversation needs to also be about how we're, I would say, it's all the matters of gender equality, the concerns of patriarchy, the concerns of toxic masculinities, all of those things, I think, if I may add, just to start the conversation, is also a part of where we need to go to solve this issue of low births. So cost is not the only thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting point that you raised. When you talk about a breakdown in the family structure, Christine, I just want to stay with you a bit. What do you think has driven that shift? Is it mostly migration, economic pressures, or changing gender expectations?
I think it's a combination of all three. One, when you think about the fact that there's a lot of focus now on individual success. You need to do as much as you can as an individual, as a woman or as a man, to succeed, because everything is expensive, connected to cost, as you mentioned. And so we're talking about more years in school, more years in your education, more years in the corporate, trying to climb the corporate ladder, or if you're an entrepreneur trying to get your business off the ground, and all those time that you're spending, which is more now than before, to earn enough means less time or less focus on building relationships, building a family structure, and creating children. And you mentioned about migrating, etc. I wouldn't even just think about migrating in just the context of just migration itself, because you could migrate and find someone where you are, but it's more a case of why did you migrate? You need to go to succeed, to maybe send money back, or because you couldn't make it in Jamaica or wherever. And so wherever you go, when you're there, you're once again focused on, can I grind as much as I can, the hustle culture, can I hustle as much as I can before I'm able to think about even having a child.
So, Dr. Martin, if I could just pick up on that, because Christina mentioned gender equality and toxic masculinity. How do you see those dynamics playing into family formation? Are men today feeling less obligated or less equipped to take on the traditional role of fathers and partners?
I don't feel as though it is that men are less equipped. I feel as though the roles of the gender roles are not necessarily flipped, but it is more a level playing field, so to speak, where a woman has the same earning power as a man, and as a result, the woman no longer has to be submissive culturally to a woman. So if a woman says she doesn't want to have a child because she wants to focus on her career, that is more accepted now than it would have been in yesteryear. So therefore, and separate and apart from that, just the availability of contraceptives in today's society, it gives us more choice to want to keep or not to keep. And a lot of people just tend to choose to not to keep more often these days than in the past, And it all boils down to a lot of the factors which the young lady would have been speaking to earlier.
I want to bring you in, Kayla, right, to respond to that, because I want to hear your perspective from a woman with the choice, so to speak. Is it a choice or a trade-off? Is it that you are put in a situation now where you have to choose between the career and the child, rather than to say you can't be in a position where you can have both at the same time?
I think for me, a lot of young women who are professionals now, it kind of is that you don't have the choice, because it's not even that we're unemployed and underemployment is a thing. We're not even making enough to cover our own bills. Rent is really high. Buying a home is expensive as well. And then to bring a baby on top of that, it's almost as if we don't have a choice. And at the end of the day, you're going to want to prioritize yourself and your well-being, as opposed to bringing a baby into this world without the means to properly care for it, and the lack of proper social programs to help you as well.
And is it a matter of social awareness to an extent? Because I think a counter argument that often crops up when people talk about the cost of having children, that, well, people are having children with less money anyway in other areas. But then, is it that you don't want to be in a position where you feel that maybe your parents struggled when they had multiple children and you felt that struggle and you don't want to put a child through that same level of concern? And there's a more social consciousness of self-determination and self-progression over just having a child for the sake of having a child.
I think so, definitely. It's more now about, yes, having a child, but ensuring that you're bringing a child into a world that you can provide for it, or him or her, and you are ensuring that they're in an environment where they can thrive. My mom has, I think, 9 siblings, and it wasn't easy for them growing up, and they're also from country. So we have to think about persons in rural areas as well, how they can manage having children, bringing them into the world, and properly caring for them the way that they should. So we even see new types of parenting, gentle parenting, and so on. So it's more than just having children for the sake of having children. It's having children and knowing that you're there mentally, financially, physically, and you're present in a way that you can properly care for them and develop them holistically.
Roger, do you think Jamaica's public discourse has shifted in a way that discourages family formation? For example, emphasizing independence. You look on social media, see some memes where individuals say, while some people having babies, they are traveling the world. You know, career over children, or migration as success?
You know, that's an interesting question, and I do see it as well. I think that this generation, as referred to earlier, people like me grew up, watching our parents struggle. I just don't want to repeat those survival stories. When you look at the fact that most of our parents made miracles, literally, out of scarcity, and most of us come out good and we come out better, and we're grateful, but we don't want that tradition of trauma. We want to choose a future that is devoid of that trauma. And so I wouldn't even say that we are against family. I just don't think that Jamaica, is ready for us. Because having a child shouldn't necessarily feel like an act of bravery. I think the society that is around us should really have that ability to show us that, hey, when we have a child, things will be better. So in other words, I think that fertility follows security. And that security, be it social, financial, or emotional, I think that is the anchor that people want. And in my mind, if fertility follows security, the nation don't have to beg for more children. We'll be having children after children after children. We'll have an overflow, because that is what a comfortable society gives us. A society that allows us to feel comfortable to be able to have children. And those are what I think that the policy shift should move from a conversation or a campaign for having more births to really fixing the conditions that make birth feel less like a burden. So I think that's where we should really look at it. And I guess the championing of the thought that, hey, we are working instead of having children, it's really because we just genuinely don't want to suffer. And we have an anti-poverty thing about us in this generation. We're tired to broke, we're tired to beg, we're tired to struggle. We just want to live in a Jamaican dream.
But I want to bring you back in, Christina Williams. When you look at other countries which have struggled with this problem for far longer than Jamaica has, we're looking at South Korea and Japan. They have thrown every strategy at the wall, and those are societies which we can consider are fairly well developed, have their economic and other social issues well in hand, but yet even going as far as paying people to have children, it's not working. So surely there is another aspect to this in terms of the development model that the world follows on that results in a declining birth rate almost as a natural occurrence.
Indeed, which is why when you asked cost, I think was the major issue. I said I think it's interpersonal relationships and how it is that we value parents or parenting, how we value family. It's a value, the societal value that we place around it. And in this context of Jamaica, as I hinted at, because of our colonial past, because there's certain, I would say, sentiment that we still have now, even though we don't talk about it as much, we still have in our own families. We think about child rearing, we think about a single mother, we think about a broken home situation, where even in a nuclear family, we still find that the burden of raising the child is placed mostly on the mother. Yes, the father may be the breadwinner or the primary breadwinner, and yes, he may be a solid provider, but in terms of who carries that emotional burden, it tends to be the woman, and that's still the sentiment now. And so I heard my dear colleague there as they talked about some kind of campaign. The campaign has to be a kind of relearning and reframing of how we value family and community. And honestly, we're a capitalist society right now. You know, and that capitalism comes with individualism, a placement on the person. You know, everything is up to you, and you must do what you need to do to survive and to thrive and all of that. And so because we no longer value community, that also means that I don't need to value a partner. I don't need to value having a man anymore. I don't need to value having a woman anymore. I can do it all. I can do bad all by myself. And I think that's a part of it that's even beyond the economics of it, if I may.
Kayla, let me hear you on a policy standpoint, because do you think that it's time that the government and other agencies encourage childbirth, but ensure that, of course, it doesn't infringe on or pressure a female to have kids?
Oh, definitely. And even going back to you bringing up Japan and South Korea and what they've done, pouring billions into incentives, but still the birth rate is still low. It's simple because it's treated as an economic problem, and as Christina rightly said, they're not treating it like a quality of life problem. You can't pay people into parenthood if deeper issues such as work pressure, gender inequality, as Christina said, safety and social support aren't fixed. Those are the root causes, so you can't just throw money at a problem like that. So on a policy perspective, on the policy landscape, childcare itself must be more affordable and accessible. It's not just, probably me applying and getting Pampers one time when a baby can finish Pampers in a week or a couple of days. It's financial incentives for families, so even building on the PASS program to offer maybe a new family allowance or something like that for a monthly child benefit for infants, or exploring family tax credit. Flexible work arrangements to include quality of to improve quality of life. And so on. The national family as well. So looking at existing laws and so on, it's a lot of things.
Dr. Martin, are you there? Dr. Martin? We're not hearing Dr. Martin. Well, I'm going to bring you in back, Roger Danvers. This matter of promoting a policy where we can address the declining birth rate, what would be the communication strategy around that coming from the government in terms of how do you put forward that policy in a way that is palatable to the Jamaican people, particularly the youth? You are the communication strategist. How would you put that forward?
Well, first of all, we need to frame the realities of what having a low birth rate looks like. We should really communicate the overall goal that we intend. What is the core problem, and what are the opportunities that we need to address? So we need to strengthen the citizens' confidence in Jamaica. So we need to improve the message of clarity. We need to have the information being accessible to everyone, and it should really be a two-way engagement in terms of the populace should be given an opportunity to ask questions, and there should be accessible channels for that type of discourse. And I also think that we should really publish, in some sense, the situational analysis. So here Sam has come forward to show us the reality. But can we connect it to the fact that if we have an aging population and we don't have, and we have a low birth rate, what does that really mean for Jamaica in the next 20 to 25 years? What does that mean for those who are living today? Is it that we're going to be going, are we going to be able to access the different services in a way that demonstrates the innovation that it ought to have? When you go to can we connect it to the reality of the day? So if you go to Dr. Singh and Dr. Singh is 60-year-old and there are no doctors to take over from Dr. Singh, is it that you're going to go to the doctor's office one day and there's no doctor, no nurse? How are we going to bridge this communication gap with meaningful, practical, pragmatic, and digestible language for the common man to understand that they should participate? And on the other hand, we really need to create a Jamaica where people believe that having the infrastructure around having children it makes sense. We really want
Might I add a second perspective?
Go ahead, is that Dr. Martin?
Seeing as that we're in an advancing world, I wonder if this lower birth rate is a sign that the human race, from an evolutionary standpoint, is evolving, and we have new technologies such as AI and automation. So a lot of the things that human beings were needed to do will not necessarily be the case 10 years from now. So I wonder if it is just a change in the paradigm that more human beings will have to take on more because, or how can I say this better, a lot of the things that human beings were doing before won't necessarily be needed. So might there not be a need to have so much children as there was in the past?
And I'm glad you said that, Dr. Martin, because I wanted to hear your perspective as a managing director, because you will face the problem of labor issues in the future, but you're suggesting now that it's a self-correcting problem, essentially, that as we have less children, this matter of labor concerns will be addressed through automation, artificial intelligence, and other technologies.
I want to believe so, because we have to sometimes humble ourselves and remember we're all just animals, and we're all just inhabiting this world, and we face the world in different cycles. And I wonder if this is just a cycle for us to, less is more. I wonder if we're just in that stage of our evolution as a human race.
If I may, the agrarian revolution to drive the agrarian growth, people literally had children for that purpose. They had more children so they could work in the field. That's why our population exponentially grew, because before in the world we actually had smaller family groups. Just wanted to put that there for food for thought.
So
continue, Doctor.
So just final words from you, Kayla, right? Are you of that same stripe? Do you think that it's not as alarming as it's being presented, this matter of population decline here in Jamaica?
I think it's alarming because I think it's indicating that there are some social issues that are rolling over into birth rates that need to definitely be addressed, because I didn't even get to talk about this, but safety, I think, is a big issue for some person that I know. And even in the recent weeks, so many children have been going missing. I think for a lot of persons, this is reflective of a pattern of danger and insecurity that a lot of young Jamaican women, specifically because these are women's views, that makes them pause before having children, because, what is this society that you're bringing children in? But I do think, if anything, it's an indication of where we are as a society, what we're thinking about, the quality of life we're going to be giving children. So I think that's mainly it.
The very interesting and unique perspectives coming from young professionals of all stripes. Thank you for joining us. That's human rights attorney Kayla Wright, communication specialist Roger Danvers, managing director of Yardway Development and Training Company Dr. Donnell Martin, lawyer and social development advocate Christina Williams. Thank you all for joining us this evening.
All the best.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. We take a break, listeners, and then come back with more.
The Watchman, exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional, Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. Children in firing line. Pediatric surgeon points to epidemic of trauma cases plaguing youngsters impacted by violence. So read the headline of the October 9, 2025 edition of The Gleaner. In the accompanying story, President of the Jamaica Association of Pediatric Surgeons, JAPS, Dr. Simone Dundas-Biles, shared the gory statistics of our nation's children who suffer violence-related injuries. Injuries from gunshot wounds or physical abuse are visible to the eye and are treatable if not fatal. Much harder to detect and to treat is crime-induced trauma, a mental disorder that affects large numbers of children who live in communities where the sound of gunfire is constant, where they must often pass dead bodies lying in the streets, and where they may have experienced the loss of a close relative, caregiver, or friend to violence. Are we creating an environment in which to raise independent, enthusiastic, and successful children who become useful contributing citizens of society? There is evidence to the contrary. As a nation and as parents, we are daily producing a society where many children are being placed at risk of becoming dysfunctional social misfits suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Jamaica is a signatory to various international conventions which obligate the government to take actions towards ensuring the health and safety of children. One of these, the Convention on Rights of the Child, CRC, was ratified by the General Assembly of the United Nations on September 2, 1990. Two important rights to be enjoyed by every child are: 1, the right to a standard of living adequate for the child's physical, mental, spiritual, moral, and social development. 2, the right of the child to rest and leisure, to engage in play and recreational activities appropriate to the age of the child. Because of our high crime rate and toxic communities, Jamaica is in constant violation of these rights of the child. Social researchers, such as our own Claudette Crawford Brown, and others through their community interventions, such as the late Sandra Morgan, established that there is a correlation between childhood experience growing up in unsafe communities and mental trauma caused by persistent crime. Along with greater parental awareness, there is an urgent need for more dedicated and sustained psychological support and intervention for society's most vulnerable, our children. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio, Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
Well, listeners, it's your turn now. The numbers are 630-937-124, 618-8255. Come chat with us.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis, weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Welcome back, listeners, viewers. As I said, time for your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Omalo, you're on the line. Good evening.
Good evening, Omalo.
Good evening, Siobhan. Good evening, Sanjay.
Good evening, Omalo.
Yes, over the years, Siobhan, Sanjay, you see, our economic situation here in Jamaica have led us where our leaders adapt principles from overseas that has nothing to do with our society.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these things really affect our society in now we are crying about birth rate. You
so
see,
in which instance?
In the 70s, there was two better than too many.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't no study as to why two was better than too many. It never said that we had a problem in our birth rate and our society. Nothing, no study. It's just that foreign NGOs were pushing birth control, and these things were then pushed through NGOs here in Jamaica.
But Omalo, not to interrupt you there, but wasn't there a major concern in terms of poverty and the ability of these families at the time to care for the number of children they were having?
And actually, just to add to that, there was a major national study and policy shift in the late 1970s and early 1980s, which would have caused the NFPB to come with that campaign. So there was a study that was in fact done.
Grow your economy. You don't decline your economy to suit poverty. I don't know where in the world.
No, we can agree that the solution is growing the economy, but at the time, it would still have been a concern. I mean, remember China, one of the fastest growing economies now, had a similar issue where they
growing economy, Ricardo. Talk about Singapore.
Hold on though, because Jamaica's fertility rate, if you do the research, Omalo, in the early 1970s was over 5 children per woman, and that was one of the highest in the region. So that is why they had the response to that at that time.
Why Singapore, over 5 million people living in Singapore, never did the same thing or run the same campaign?
I can't answer that. You have the answer?
We must always look.
No, but you have the but you sound like you have the answer, Omalo. So provide it. Why did Singapore not need to do that?
Because Singapore knew that in order for them to have a society to be successful, they must grow their economy and put in their policies where their economy is going to grow.
But where is Singapore's birth rate now, Omalo?
We are talking about the birth rate from
No, but I'm asking the question because we're looking at a matter of perspective then versus now. So where's Singapore's birth rate now?
We're Singapore, I don't know their birth rate.
No, but even before you go there, I just did a quick check, Omalo. Singapore had the same problem as Jamaica, 4.5 children per woman. And they in fact had a campaign called Stop at 2.
They had a campaign.
Yes. So they had a campaign similar to Jamaica.
Where's their population now?
Well, based on the latest statistic, their birth rate is actually below replacement levels as well. It's at 0.97 barely, it's tenuous. That means they're pretty much stagnated in terms of their birth rate. So over time in Singapore, their birth rate has also declined. And it might have been a result of that development where you see people with better education, they simply have less children.
Well, look at it also like this, Trevor. They may not have the same death rate in Singapore. The migration rate is maybe not like that in Singapore. So they
no, but we're looking at the fertility rate. We're talking about the replacement population, not necessarily the global growth in population. We're talking about the replacement rate, meaning how many children are you having to replace the people who are passing away?
One thing I know, that a lot of things that are happening overseas, we are adapting it here in our country.
No, but you see, Omalo, you come on a faulty premise. Because you started out by saying we are adopting information from overseas, and I indicated to you that a research was done. Then you utilize the example of Singapore, that Singapore did not practice the same model as Jamaica, which I have debunked that and said, yes, they had a similar model, and they call it Stopper 2.
Just a minute. Was Jamaica birth rate at the time creating a problem here in Jamaica?
At the time, as in, yes.
At the time, yes.
What problem was it creating?
I just said it. We were growing rapidly, the fastest in the region. And there was a concern that had to be addressed.
We are growing rapidly. We are growing rapidly at what? At economic growth or at birth rate?
Birth rate, that's what we're talking about, though.
What was the rapid economic growth in birth rate causing what type of problem in Jamaica?
Hold on. Do you understand what a rapid fertility or growth rate can cause in the country? You understand that? No. I'm honestly, do you understand what it can cause?
No. Listen to me, man. Listen very keenly, man. Listen very keenly. You tell me, what was the rapid growth of birth in Jamaica cause problem to Jamaica economy or Jamaica itself? What was the rapid growth causing?
Well, what you will find is that a fast-growing population means more dependence, especially children who rely on working adults for food, for education, for healthcare.
The cause to Jamaica at that time.
But I just said it to you, Amalo, that had NFTB, hold on. They asked me a question, let me respond. Had the government not intervened, what possibly could have happened is that you have more dependents, especially children, who rely on working adults for food, education, healthcare. You know what that means? More pressure on the government to provide those services. Eh?
I mean, that's what it means. It means when a country, not having the birth rate growth. So what they are doing, they're trying to carry in immigrants, or they're trying to pay people to have baby. It was never a problem. It is the Western ideology and their individualism and trying to sell their materialistic products. That is what is causing the problem. We have no independent study of how these things affect.
Again, I said to you that is not so. There was a study that was done, but I just indicated to Omala that a study was done in the 1970s, which caused the government to launch the Two is Better Than Too Many campaign in the 1980s. And then you're coming back to say that there was no study.
Omala, I'm not going to suggest causation, but are you suggesting there is no correlation between Jamaica's poverty rate now versus in the 1970s, 80s, and the birth rates? In terms of the... Omala, I just asked a simple question. Are you suggesting there's no correlation there?
No correlation in what?
The birth rates and the poverty rates between now and the 1970s?
No!
Okay.
It is the economic growth rate, it's bad economic policies. That is the problem, not the birth rate. And he is telling me about the birth rate. He's not telling me about the effect.
So let me ask you that now. Let me put it another way, Omalo. The continent that has one of the highest birth rates in the world and subsequently also has one of the worst economic records in the world. There's no correlation there, and I'm talking about Africa.
Africa needs to grow their economy.
But you're saying there's no correlation there in terms of managing your birth rate, and managing the economy. There's no correlation. There's no correlation with mouths to feed and economics. There's no correlation there, Amal, is what you're saying.
That's what you're saying? Birth rate create poverty?
I'm saying there's a correlation, not a causation.
Let me say, because governments now have to struggle to build enough schools, enough hospitals, enough clinics to serve the growing population. Class sizes will increase. The quality of education could possibly decline, and teacher shortage.
Grow your economy.
Hold on.
Let us agree that this is one of those topics we're not going to agree on, Amal. I just leave it there. So next caller, please. Faithful, good evening.
Good evening, Chevron. Good evening.
Good evening, Faithful.
Yeah, give thanks. Right.
Yes.
In China, the government was institute a policy that the people should only have one children.
Yes, the one child policy.
Right, one children policy. Mr. Children, one child. And then after China, population started to get top heavy. And they find out that it's going to be a crisis in that country. They say the world also, but they talk about China. And they find that it's going to be a crisis in that country. Then they start to encourage the people in China to have more children. And after that, they decide that they don't have any children. So I think a part of the problem is manipulation. When they start to manipulate and start to dictate to people how much children they should have and how much they should not have. That's one of the problems. And next part of the problem.
But the reason why I don't like the Chinese comparison, Faithful, is because they have a governance system that is quite different from what we would have in a free world, because having a child over the limit could actually, in many instances, end up in you facing severe consequences. And that has essentially built into that society and culture a mentality of not wanting to have children because of those concerns in terms of penalties, even after those penalties have long since been relaxed.
No, but Siobhan, two things. One, after that time, when you encourage people not to have children, and you start to reverse and start to tell them to have children, that's a form of manipulation.
But hold on. Governments have to ensure that they create that perfect equilibrium.
But is it not the same problem they are creating when the population get?
No.
Let me finish. I don't say that. Is it not the same problem they're creating now when the population is getting old and you don't have nobody to take care of them?
Right, so I'm saying, and responding to that, I'm saying the perfect equilibrium is what countries, they must aspire for. And this is where the birth rate and the death rate, they are balanced, right? Because look at it this way. Hold on, a rapid population growth, it causes strain on jobs, schools, food, housing, healthcare. An aging population, fewer workers, economic slowdown, the risk of population decline. So you have to find that perfect equilibrium.
Oh, right. So where's the middle ground?
Say what?
Where's the middle ground?
I just said it, where you're ensuring that the birth rate and the death rate are balanced.
Yes. But to say the birth rate and it's balanced, but that's not an answer. But what about those of us who cannot afford to have, and we decide within ourselves that we're not going to have any, and if we do have any, we're not going to have more than one. And then those long street, long town, we classify them, decide to have more than one. We cost them as well. I said they cannot afford, but you said they are having. And those of us who cannot afford to have, we're not having any. And it's born out of, in my mind, selfish reasons and globalization, because everybody wants to be in the fast lane. There was a time, when having children was pride, but nowadays it seems to be a curse. It seems to be like most people want to look down on person who decide to have a family now. When first time in those days, in those days. When first time it used to be a blessing. So
you see,
hello?
I hear your reasoning there, but I think one of the problems is even in a microcosm where there is a perfect birth rate, there's still an issue of someone who is poverty-stricken having 5-6 children that they can't take care of. It's still going to be a concern, even in that microcosm.
No, Mr. Lewis, Mr. Campbell. But the problem, as the good old Bible says, the poor we will always have with us. So
no, but hold on.
Let me finish. The poor you will always have with you. So you will always have some person up even who can afford to take care of them. And the imbalance is those of us who cannot afford to have not having any. So you will always have the imbalance. I don't think the answer is not having children. It's not having. Because those of us who get old, we're gonna need somebody to take care of us, and we're gonna need replacement. And if there's no, I think if there's no replacement, it's a greater problem.
Right, but
it can't just be on a it can't just be on a blanket that just whoever won't have children just have children. That's not the solution.
And I don't think any of us. One second though, I don't think any of us is coming here. No, let me just make a point. Let me make a point quickly. I don't think any of us come in here to say individuals must just have more kids. I know I'm not saying that, and I certainly know Siobhan, that's not what he's saying. But the fact is, we're giving you the stats as is. Jamaica's current fertility rate is around 1.5 children per woman, well below the replacement level, right? So it goes back to what I indicated. It means that Jamaica is below equilibrium. The population will gradually shrink if the trend continues, especially given the high migration. When I look at the 1970s, Jamaica was above the equilibrium, 4 to 5 children per woman,
so we need that
prompting the two is better than too many campaign. But let us look at it. The perfect equilibrium is important because you want to ensure that you have moderate economic growth, you have job creation for young people, you have affordable housing, you have support system for families and childcare. No one is saying that there is the perfect fit, and any government have the solution to have that perfect match. But we just have to give it the reality. And the reality is that we want a fertility rate of around 2.1.
Yeah.
Right? So and give the government time now to have these things and generate the environment for the economic growth, the job creation and those type of things. But none of us come in here to say, oh, the females are not producing enough children, go out and have more children. I don't think any of us is saying that for a second.
All I would say that those of us who can afford to have, we decide we're not going to have an out of service unit, I'm thinking. And those who cannot afford to have it, they have, and we criticize them.
I think that is a matter of just how society works, because that's the same in most countries. Those who those who go through more formal education, the higher up in the education you go, the less children they tend to have. That just seems to be how things go.
And I'm saying, if we're gonna worry about the poor, that you cannot get the poor, you will always have with us.
But Faithful, next caller, I forget the next caller. All right.
Thanks, Faithful.
All right, Kevin. Good evening.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening, Kevin.
Doing all right.
Right. What I have to add to this conversation is, I'm a young man, right? I am under 30. So my observation is, and I heard previous callers said it, but I don't think a monetary argument is a valid argument, and I can understand the time argument, because the truth is, increasingly we have less available time, right? However, I definitely believe that selfishness and individualism is a significant part of this issue. I'm not trying to take away from anybody who would want to quote unquote live their lives or try to enjoy their youth or whatever it is, but we need to recognize the reality of life outside of ourselves and recognize that life is bigger than just us. And to just live for ourselves will lead us to ruin in the long run. Because, and I heard I'm not sure if it was one of the hosts or a previous caller who said it, but for example, an issue that we will face with the declining birth rate is an increase in the amount of money that comes out of our pay because of pension, and not only that, we're going to receive the pension later.
Yes.
Our people going to have to work longer. The infrastructure that exists in the country is going to crumble because there will not be enough people to maintain it. We have an aging population, and therefore, at some point, there are going to be more old people than there are young people. Who is going to care for those old people? I'm not saying that it necessarily has to be their children or their grandchildren, but there needs to be people, there needs to be Jamaicans who will grow up and work, and this is one of the available jobs.
But Kevon, I will say that I agree with you for the most part, except that the monetary argument I think is valid. It's valid because it's a cost to raise a child. Yeah, you need a proper job just to ensure that you're sending the child to the best possible school that you can you can afford that child to attend. Housing is also an issue. So the economic reality exists for many individuals. Yeah, so I don't think it's not valid at all.
Let me tell you why I say that. Because like the previous caller said, even the people them with money don't want to have children. And I have a child. I understand that it is definitely an expense, right?
Yes.
It is. However, the people with kids don't want children either. They're not having children either. That is why I said that it is not the most valid argument.
Well, everybody live in their own reality. So the people who you think may have money, they may look at the cost to send their child to a certain school as a greater expense than some of us who don't, and we're not so well off, and may calculate another school. Everybody's reality is different.
But I take a nuanced view of your statement, caller, because one aspect of it, is if you have become a career-driven individual, there is no way to deny the simple fact. If your focus is your career, your focus is your profession and getting to the top of that profession, a child becomes an inhibition to making that journey. And particularly for women. Even with the most relaxed policies in terms of maternity leave, the simple fact of the matter is, if you are not in a workplace and your boss looks around and says, well, I can't rely on that person because they're not here, obviously I'm going to pass them over for promotion. And women have to make those decisions in their lives as well. Men have to make those decisions as well, especially when you're introducing things like paternity leave. You will make sacrifices based on where you want to be in life. And if you keep on that path, I think oftentimes in this modern context, it's not so much that people are planning to have children. The children are somehow foisted upon them, so to speak, and they just have to adapt. And that was the case with my mother. I'm sure that was the case with a lot of people's mothers today. And we, as the younger generation now, having seen what happened to the struggles, what they went through, do not want to make that kind of sacrifice. So we make a conscious effort to avoid having children, especially when we know that it is possible, because we don't want to put ourselves in the same situation where we have to struggle bus it paycheck to paycheck, month to month.
Agreed, and I understand, and I'll add one last thing. I must admit that I think a part of what is missing in this is the familial aspect, and I believe the want or the necessity to create a family or to have a family structure is no longer important to people. And I believe that if the government wants to alleviate this low birth rate issue, they need to incentivize family creation, not just having children. What they need to do is incentivize marriage and family creation, especially among people that are under 40 or 35 years old. Genuinely, that is what I believe. Thank you for accepting my
Thanks
call.
for the call. Appreciate it, especially a first-time caller. Thank you for calling. Jarrell, good evening.
Yes. Siobhan.
Yes.
What's the name of your co-host again?
Sanjay. That's Sanjay.
Sanjay. Beautiful, beautiful. Are you a parent?
No, I'm not.
Is your co-host Sanjay a parent?
Well, that was Sanjay responding.
No, I am not a parent.
Sanjay, are you a parent?
I am not a parent.
No, I'm not. No.
Chevan, do you plan to have kids?
Yes, inevitably.
Sanjay, do you plan to have kids?
I certainly want to.
I don't want to put you on the spot. If we're skirting around.
Now is the time and now is the hour for putting people on the spot. Go ahead.
Skirting around the problems. You see a lot of social commentators love tell people how to bring up children and they're not parents themselves.
Right.
And I'm going to be brutally frank with you. The advent of something that started from Bible days, where men are attracted to men and women are attracted to men, seems to be a big problem here. But we don't want to face it head on. I'm a parent. I have 3 kids officially, and I hear that I have 3 unofficially. And I can tell you 2 of those unofficial ones.
Yes.
That mother is the only woman that I believe ever loved me. You hear what I'm saying to you? I cannot understand how these social commentators, particularly some of the females, who are the loudest in the barn, keep telling people how to bring up kids, and they're not themselves parents. They never bore belly pain. And I think, personally, that the people who have trod the road are the ones that are pushing the background and are not being heard. Something is wrong with us as a society, sir. There was a time when a certain same-sex practice was scoffed at. It is now fully accepted, I guess. Two men cannot produce a child. 2 women will not. And I hear you people talking about the economic imperative. Let me tell you this, Bo. Well, there's a scientific thing for people who, you know that part of your brain that deals with pleasure? Right, okay. The people who are producing most of the kids today in this country are those who are perhaps oftentimes less able to bring up these kids. I heard you people talking about the more kids produced in this country's economic problem and all kinds of stuff. From those humble beginnings come doctors, lawyers, brilliant kids.
Yes.
Not everybody is going to be a journalist like you, Siobhan, the economist, and all that sort of stuff. Not everybody is going to be like that. That is why God does that thing where some people are able to do certain things, acquire certain information, while there are others who do other menial things.
Yeah.
And I can't understand for the life of me, sir, why is it that we keep skirting around the problem that the same-sex problem is the biggest problem that we're having in Jamaica now? Why?
All right. So if I can respond to you, what you're saying, absolutely true, right? In terms of the issues and the dynamics and how you put it. I don't necessarily, and I have not seen any research which suggests that same-sex couples, that is probably causing or is the main reason for what we're seeing. What I will say to you is, would you agree with me that many young people, they grew up watching their parents work with multiple jobs or migrate just to provide for them, and that experience reshaped their mindset, associating large families with financial and emotional hardship. So instead of them saying, how many children can I have? The new question is, can I give 1 or 2 a better life? So and would you also agree that many of the individuals in my generation, we are raising a generation that doesn't want to survive, they want to live well. And many of them will say, I can hardly afford myself. How am I then going to afford a child, for the child to live better than I live? Don't you think that's the harsh reality that exists in many lives?
I'm not hearing you.
No. I'm asking. I'm closing by saying, don't you think that's the harsh reality that exists?
You're muted. You're muted. Let me tell you something. Oh, they're muting me.
No, we're hearing you.
We're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, hear me now. Just looking at the two of you, I don't know anything about your background. But I can tell you this. I'm coming from humbler beginning than any one of the two of you. I knew hunger. I knew thirst. I used to cut my eyes off things that didn't belong to me. My first child, as sad as it sounds, was not arranged. It happened. And I was even offered an option to terminate. It didn't happen. And I'm a proud father of a big son right now.
Yes.
Because while I respected the female's position, I told her that I was not going to contribute to it. Then she turned around and told me that you're smart, because if you did, I would have brought up my child myself and this and that. Hey, let me tell you this, you see. You have to do something yourself to experience fully what it feels like to become a parent.
I understand where you're coming from, caller, and I do appreciate what you have most likely sacrificed and endured for the sake of your children, and I trust that they've turned out to the best of your ability and you are proud. But a lot of us our age, we are fearful of taking that risk under the circumstances where we can barely take care of ourselves in terms of the economic viability. You appreciate that, right?
Siobhan, I appreciate what you say. I really do. Siobhan.
Yes.
Siobhan, you don't look like somebody suffering. Neither is your co-host. Hold on. There are people in this world. Who let me tell you something, you see. People are hiding behind that excuse, bro.
Carla,
I know it. I'm a man of the streets. I know it.
Let's be brutally honest. Would somebody in my profession, at my level, in this newsroom and in this company, be able to adapt to taking care of a child with what they earn? Probably. But would they want to take the risk in terms of the privation that it would then cause for them and the child? Probably not. And as you pointed out, a child was foisted upon you. Parenthood was foisted upon you, and you adapted, right? You could say that there is a hesitance to adapt.
I accepted.
Acceptance.
And it was even the days when we had DNA, you know, because my last child graduated from university, and let me tell you, there were times when during the month. Half of the month I was broke. Thanks be to God. He smiled on me and I survived.
And I'm not going to compare the situation that my mother had with you. But I remember the days when I was sharing a mattress in a back room of somebody else's house with my mother. I remember those days keenly. And I remember over time, as she worked harder and she put herself through university, she got better jobs and things improved time over time over time. I don't necessarily want to put a child through that struggle where they have to go through a back room. And I want to just be in a situation where when they come into the world, I can take care of their every whim and need from the age of 0 to probably 21 when they go about their own way. That is how it has to be. To me, that is my standard.
Question, Siobhan.
Go ahead, I'm waiting for the question.
Are you now living in a back room?
No, not at all.
Are you struggling to sleep on anybody's bed in order to provide for a child?
But obviously there are other things to be concerned about.
I keep forgetting his name because he's
Sanjay.
What's the name?
Sanjay.
Angie. Yeah,
Sanjay.
because listen, Nationwide is my station, because I believe that when it comes down to social commentary and current affairs, you're the absolute best, this station. My friends don't like it, but I tell them. So I listen to you from time to time, this station. The only issue I have with you is that both you and your co-hosts are trying to justify the reduction in or presenting a perceived challenge for people of your age cohort to have kids. I'm not telling you guys to go and any little woman you go and think it because women are not the kids, baby fathers as well. But don't do.
No, but I don't think though. And if it came across that we're trying to justify anything for anyone, that's absolutely not the case, because we're presenting both sides and the need for it. But at the same time, we have presented our reality. Siobhan just gave you his. Yeah. So
you use the term in the embryonic stage of your discussion, and I don't know it, but it's a term that is very new to me about what was a consideration. I don't remember it. So it's the first time I'm hearing it, and these are some of the terms that are used by people who, let me not say the rest, but there are people who try to justify things that are difficult to justify. And I'm saying to you, none of your parents, but you are the ones who are talking about this subject. And I can't.
We're not talking about parenthood, we're talking about childbirth. They're two different things, you know. Two different things, you know. I would never question a parent about parenting.
You're positing possible reasons why there's a reduction in. You're muting. I'm not here.
No, but do you realize you're not muted? Do you realize though that earlier in the discussion we had 4 individuals who shared their perspective?
But anyways, Carl, we spent a lot of time out of respect for your. But so we have to take another call. Quest, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Siobhan.
Yes.
Sanjay.
Yes, Quest.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Let me tell you something, because I have followed a lot of things, and I have heard a lot of things, and you know, see this all right. You know, you ever hear some people that can't win a race keep on talking about them have hamstring? Every time. Yes. Every time, yes. So you see what happens is that. Let me tell you something. There are some, I'm not racist, but that them it's me here from. There are some white people that I've listened to that sat and speak on board because I have money, including Bill Gates. They are one of those who said that there are too many people in the world, and many of, not saying them specifically in this, but there are many of those who are in the food industry. They are putting all sorts of stuff in the food, in the water, in all sorts of stuff to reduce.
Also.
No, you never believe it. But listen, if you want, you ever follow not you, not UN. I just want to tell you, but UNESCO, all of them. You think even this COVID vaccine thing was normal? I have spent several hours, many times with many couples, many single people that want to have children right here in Jamaica and they can't get none, can't get pregnant. I have a friend of mine who works at one pharmacy off Archie Road, and when she gets pregnant, it's like a Christmas fair. She tells us, you think that to the she and her husband trying to get pregnant.
Right.
But them always ring the bell. I don't want children. Because right now, based on my lifestyle, I can't. They keep saying it. They keep saying it because they couldn't I was with a lady a couple years ago, and when she couldn't get none, and she was one who said, I never really want to hear because and she also thought, man, when she get the first one from me, she want the second one immediately. So it's a lot of persons that you're talking about. They want further education. A lot of them further education and come out of university and still can't get none. Still can't get none because the type of food, this type of lab food and all sorts of that is actually feeding the population right now. It is geared to reduce. It is geared to reduce.
All right, Colin. I don't know how to respond to that one.
If I choose to study it, you will find it out.
All right, Colin, but that is your view. I don't know if I support that viewpoint.
No, try. No, you have to support it. But check it out for yourself. And everything will support. And many people not support.
All right, Colin.
The government.
All right. Thank you for the call, Chris. Thank you.
Oh, boy.
That was an interesting discussion there. But as we await the next caller, Sanjay,
and just for clarity, Bill Gates has never said that there are too many people in the world. He spoke at a 2010 TED Talk on the relationship between healthcare poverty and population growth. And he made a statement that if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower the projected population growth by perhaps 10 to 15%. But you have to listen to the speech in its entirety before you come to a conclusion. But he never at no point said that there are too many people in the world.
Yeah. Thank you for that clarity. I understand we have the caller now, Marcus.
Hi, good night, guys.
Good evening.
Hello, Marcus.
Great. Listen, a lot of the time, a lot of the issue that I think we face is lack of preparation. We seem to take the whole issue of having a child as something that nonchalant. It's supposed to happen. As a man and as a woman, you're supposed to have a child because you don't probably want to stigmatize as a mule or as a, what them call it, the man, you know, that child. Well, whatever it's name, it does come to mind. However, these seem to be entrenched cultural practices that we seem to accept and normalize. Now, here's my thing. Here's the whole thing about having a child. First of all, if you don't take into consideration all of the factors that comes with having a child entails, then it means that you are very careless about bringing another person into the world, into life, and not preparing for them. We prepare for our exams, we prepare to take our get our driver's license, we prepare when we go to start our career. And I'm saying to myself, the biggest job anybody can take is raising a child. It's bigger than earning a PhD.
It's one of the biggest risks as well.
Hello?
I'm just saying it's one of the biggest risks as well in terms of investment.
Therefore, how come is it that we are so nonchalant about having a child as opposed to getting a PhD, which we are in, as in my estimation, raising a child is bigger than getting a PhD, but we prepare for the PhD, we don't prepare for the child. I mean, it's a sort of recklessness and just flamboyant way of saying, well, you know, I must have a child, I'm a man or I'm a woman, and that sort of way. But then you put the child in a position of not preparing them for life. And I'm not saying that even, one of the things I've observed is that even within a home where the parents are present, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are preparing a child for life. It may be preparing them for school, and to send them to school and maintaining them. And maintaining a child and raising a child is totally different things. And we're not prepared for the latter, for the raising of a child. And therefore, it becomes an issue because of lack of preparation. And therefore, when we do that, we tend to blame the government, the system, and the structure and how it is, and not taking accountability for the fact that we make a reckless choice in bringing someone into the world and not preparing for them.
No, but that's
And then when the
the
government-
distinction, between just childbirth and parenting. They're two different things. While one might naturally flow from the other, it doesn't necessarily follow that it will happen when you engage in one. So you can have a child easily enough, but are you prepared to become a parent?
No, precisely, and that is the main issue. We are not preparing ourselves to raise a child, and here is where the family comes in, the support system comes in, and one other thing I observe, because I have one child, and the reason why I have one child is because I noticed that most of the wealthy people who can afford to mind 10 children, 100 children easily for the rest of their life and make them live comfortable, they only have 2. Now, me who have to probably go to university and then pay back a student loan and all that sort of thing, I have the tendency to have 3, 4, 5, 6. I even go the kitchen. How that work?
You are spot on. Yeah, and that is how I look at it also. Because getting ready to have children or to get children as a man is something that you have to be prepared for. And what we find happening is because of the stigma that exists in society, a man in a community upon the corner don't have a pitney, everybody look run upon him. So he's forced now to go and get one so that individuals won't look at him a particular way. And what we have done is we have created a society where the family's role in shaping values, discipline, emotional development has weakened because those individuals, they themselves are not ready and they can't now pass on certain values to their kids. So what we find happening now, we hand that responsibility to the schools. Yeah? And the schools now have to focus on developing these children, shaping those values, which is supposed to be done by the family. The school have to be doing it on top of ensuring that the educational values are passed on to the kids.
Carla, I thank you for your contribution this evening. Please try a call back again, but we have to wrap it up at that. And thanks to the YouTubers, as the YouTube has been quite an interesting place this evening. But thank you all for joining us. Thanks to our super producer Dana Davey, our technical operator Andrew the Glenn Boogs Anderson, all my compatriots and friends in the news and production department, led by the capable Ricardo Brooks and Cara Powell. I am Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. A wonderful discussion tonight, and I want to wish you all the best. Good night.